Hello, everyone, and welcome to Book Talk with Cara. Today, it is such a treat to have my friend Natalie Walters back. And she has been here before, so if you have watched or listened to an episode, there's a good chance you have met Natalie. But just in case you haven't, Natalie, before we start talking about spies, lies, and alibis, why don't you take just a second to introduce yourself for those who may be meeting you for the first time? And then we're going to dive into this book that I loved so, so much.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to come and chat with you. I've always loved being able to talk with you. You're so much fun. My name is Natalie Walters, and I'm a romantic suspense author. I live in Texas. My husband retired from the military, and we have three adult children who are all living their own lives right now, which is fantastic. And we had two new grandbabies in 2025, a boy and a girl, which has just been the best part of my life so far. It's been just so much fun to be a grandma. And let's see, what else? I feel like that's pretty much it. I don't know how much, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and we are here. Number one, you are so much fun to follow on Instagram because you have the best little videos and things like that. I like literally should hire you to do mine. You could just like AI my face on or something, because you have this fun persona because you write these stabby books, because they're romantic suspense and they're this great blend of romance, character driven, but they're also high octane suspense plots where a lot's going on. But Spies, Lies, and Alibis takes this fun little pivot into uh, almost thriller, not quite thriller. If you like Ally Carter, to
Mhm.
me, they feel like an Ally Carter type of book. So I read all of Ally Carter's young adult books with my girls when they were reading those. Like High Society is one of the rare books I'm like, I wish I'd written that one. But she also has like Blonde Identity and things like that, which Spies, Lies, and Alibis feels like that to me, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith for a movie kind of corollary. But tell us a little bit about this and how you decided to kind of jump into this space because it's so much fun. I endorsed it because I absolutely loved this book. I actually kind of like jumped onto the endorsement list because I was like, I grabbed a copy of the book and then I was like, can I endorse this, please? Please let me endorse it because I really, really like this book.
Oh my gosh. Yes. In fact, you were the first one to tell me that my book was like out for people to read. And then I also, we talked about this earlier, had a little mild panic attack. So I was like, oh my goodness, it's going into readers' hands, early readers' hands, reviewers' hands. And so that's always nerve wracking. But I do appreciate your endorsement. It was so sweet. And I was just like, oh, thank you so much. It's such an honor to have you read my book and love it. And be excited about it. Cause I think I feel like I'm excited about my stories when I write them. I don't know if that's going to be the like mirrored reception when, like, are people going to be just as excited? And so ultimately, Spies, Lies, and Alibis was a book that I was like, I want to have a fun adventure. I want to write something that's just fun and just takes me on a ride and kind of pivots a little bit out of the I don't want to say heavy because romantic
Hmm.
suspense does tend to be heavy. There's heavy
Yeah.
topics and themes. And in my previous series, I have written, I feel like a balance of like humor,
Hmm.
more fun type scenarios in my characters and in my scenes that kind of go there. So it felt like a natural pull to like maybe go in sort of an adventurous romantic comedy type of a way where there's more humor, more mishaps and that type of a thing. And so I love Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I thought that I love the banter. I love the like sort of unexpected chaos that ensues. And in Ally Carter, very similarly, like with the stories in there. There's the El Casamano series with Finley Donovan that is sort of this.
Yes.
It takes the genre and it sort of flips it upside down and it says like, okay, what happens if you find yourself in this scenario? And so,
Yeah, and I binged that series after you
oh,
recommended it at Reader Rendezvous, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's such a caper. It's so fun. It's so out there, but so
yes.
much fun."
Yes, you're talking Finley Donovan, right?
Yes, the Finley
Yeah, I
Donovan
will
series.
tell you, I had no idea. I don't know why I picked up that book, but I listened to it on audio, the first book. So
Yeah.
it had been out for a while because it was on audio. And I remember walking while I was listening to it, and I had like literally anxiety in my stomach because I was like, how is this author going to get away with this scenario? Because it is so, and as an attorney,
Yeah.
you're probably thinking like, there's no way. There is no way she is going to legally like get away with this. I'm thinking of it from like a law enforcement perspective because that's where my family's background. I was like, there's no way. And so of course I've got to read books 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
And
and I'm
now,
waiting for the last one because
right.
now she's like, I'm like, how are they going to do this? Because it's all
Yeah.
coming together.
Yeah, and she really is. I'm starting to see the pieces come together, and I'm like, oh, yep, she's gonna pull it off. So I was like, okay, I want to write something that gives me that same sort of feeling. And so I was like, well, there's nothing better than when you bring two people together who are spies or spying, and then I kind of like with a reimagination of Mr. and Mrs. Smith was like, all right, but what if they know each other? Like, what if they know
Mhm.
their true identities? And so now, but they both know like it's dangerous if they reveal that. And so I was like, how do I play this up? And then, of course, one of them is actually a trained spy, and one of them is in espionage and is just sort of it's circumstantial and an opportunity. And so it was just a lot of fun to write.
Well, and that's what comes across. And I think in some ways, our writing journeys the last few years have been very similar because we both write romantic suspense and we've both written books that have these heavier issues in them. And like your Snap Agency books are some of my favorite that are out there. I love them, but they're issue driven, but there is this lighter vein that helps keep it going. I'm thinking of one character in particular, which of course I can't think of his name right now, the Hawaiian guy. Uh,
Okay, Koa.
yeah, Cocoa. I was like, I know it starts with a K, but you've got these characters that can help kind of release some of the tension. But it does reach a point because I'm at the same one. I got this proposal that I just have to force my. You need to give me a deadline so I actually get this stupid thing done. Um, but I'm like, I was telling editors at the last ACFW conference, I'm like, I don't want to get pigeonholed as the issue person, and I'm risking that. And I want to do something that's fun. I want my next series to be fun and have a caper. It's still going to be suspense, it's still going to be romance, but it has to have more of that light, fun feel. So I
Right.
totally get where you're like, I needed to make this slight pivot, but readers who've read your other books are still going to love it because it has all the elements that we love in a Natalie Walters book, but it does have that slight little adjustment, which I so get as a writer because you can only do so much where you're like my book that comes out in May, I'm like, it's one of the most important books I've read or I've written. But if I had to do another book that was that heavy, I was like, I didn't think I had it in me right now.
Right.
So when you think about this one, like you just went skydiving in Dubai. And maybe you did that a while ago, but you just posted it on Instagram.
Yeah, November.
So, I mean, you do these crazy things to get the tradecraft right. Is that the craziest thing you've done? Or what's the most out there thing that you've done to get the details right for these books?
So far, that is the most craziest thing I've done. I think when we're younger, we have this desire, although you did say that you would love to go skydiving.
Yes,
I
I
don't know. I don't
would. I
think,
was so jealous. I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks amazing.
oh my goodness. I don't feel like I've never, when I was younger, I had this like, okay, I could go, like, I would go skydiving. Like, I wouldn't be afraid to go skydiving. And then I got older and then I had children and I was like, well, if I go skydiving and something happens,
Yeah.
I'm still going to be required to roll myself to the kitchen and cook dinner and like fold laundry. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if mama has two broken legs, like she still got to like take care of the kids. So that was just not a reasonable, thing to consider. Um, so as I'm writing as I'm kind of pivoting and writing this story, my husband, who travels a lot for his job, had this opportunity to go to Dubai. And I was like, well, I would love to go to Dubai. I love writing. So in Spies, my story does have a couple of scenes that happen overseas. And I really love that because I love to travel and I love to be able to bring in that atmospheric
Mhm.
experience. And I know that not everybody gets to travel, and it is really a privileged and, a opportunity to be able to do that. And so it's fun to be able to kind of weave that into my stories. And so I was like, well, I could go to Dubai. I could find out some things that I could write about. And I was like, and why not go skydiving? If I'm going to skydive anywhere, it should be in Dubai. And
Why not?
so I went there and I was very calm and I had no problems and went, went to the thing, signed the waiver. They had a little cafe. I had breakfast, got my harness on, met my partner, and then got on the plane. I literally had no issues. I was perfectly calm. It was eerily calm. And so then it wasn't until we actually like dropped out of the plane that I had the most terrifying fear in the pit of my stomach, that I was like, what did I do? And so my instructor was like hitting my arms to like make me let go of my harness. And I was like, no, sir, absolutely, absolutely not. Like I was gripped so tight on it. And I got down and we landed, and the camera guy was like, what was your favorite part? And I was like, landing. That was my favorite part. And but I feel like if you always watch these movies with, Ethan Hunt and Matt Damon, like there are
Yeah.
all these characters, Jason Bourne, that are doing all of these exciting, death-defying things, and they have this like bravado about them. And I was like, oh, I'm not writing that character. I'm writing the character who was like me, who got on there, got put into a situation, fell out of a plane, and it was horrifying to them. They were like, I will like that that they land and they like actually like throw up, because like it like it was not that like hua, let me do it again type of personality. Because it seemed like everybody around me was excited that they did it and would do it again. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. No, that was the first and last time I will ever do, to do
I've
that.
always
So
thought I would be the person where my fingers would be like attached to the fuselage, and you'd have to peel them off, and then I'd jump, and then I'd be like, that was the most amazing rush ever. And
yes,
then I'd probably be like, okay, I'll do it again. But I've always thought I'm so risk averse
yes.
that I want to do it, but you'd have to like get me out of the plane. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. Let's do it again.
Yeah, well,
But
see, and if you go with somebody, you don't really get that choice, because you're literally strapped onto them as if you are one person, and so you move with them. And so
yeah.
there was no backing out. It was literally like we're falling, and we fell for a long. And it's funny because people ask me like, "Well, did you like it? Like, did you see that?" And I was like, I remember seeing the scenery. I could not tell you what I felt like other than fear. Like I cannot tell you. Like there was no moment where I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." I was like, I think I probably said, this is cool. Okay, now I want to get down. Like I don't want to
But you're
fall.
going down.
Yeah, like I'm tired of falling. And even when the parachute pops out, you're still falling pretty fast. So it's not like it slows you down all that much. Like you still come down at a quick pace. So it's you're falling. It's falling. Falling with
That's so
style.
crazy. Oh my gosh. I still think that's so cool. So cool.
Oh, yes.
Um,
I think if I get more and more removed from it, there might be a chance that I'd be like, okay, maybe I should try to do it again, to see, now that I know what to expect, maybe I would enjoy it more. But I think now, knowing that, I would be more nervous. Like I wouldn't get on the plane. I'd be like, no, 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 I don't want to do it. So I think it was a one and done for me.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I'll ever actually get on the plane, but I'm just like, that would be such a rush. It would be such an amazing rush. Like I would never bungee jump. I would never
Oh,
in a
yeah.
million years. I had an opportunity. I'm like, nope, 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 nope. I'm an attorney. I am risk averse. Nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope, 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 nope. But I do think jumping out of a plane would be pretty incredible
Yeah.
once.
Yes.
So you,
Once. It only takes one time.
yeah. And then you've had the experience and you can write about it for forever because you've done
That's
it
right.
once. So this is kind of that spy thriller type of book. But you've kind of alluded to you don't want to write the Jason Bourne character. You don't want to write the Mission Impossible Ethan Hunt character. So how do you kind of twist this up? Because like Daniel Silva with Gabriel Alon, he twisted up by you've got this super assassin, but he's really a art restorer. And so he's this really sensitive soul who was forced to become an assassin. How are you kind of twisting up the genre?
So I think for me, I do think I did take some inspiration from Finley Donovan's series because you have,
Mm.
I think the funnest part about that series for us especially is she's a romantic suspense author, the main
Yeah.
character. And so her conversations, what she's talking about with her agent are things that you and I have had conversations with our agents, with our
Yeah, it
brainstorm
was so
partners.
crazy.
Yeah, like in public, we are talking about murder. We are talking about, okay, like we're brainstorming. We're like, okay, I really need to like kill this person. And I don't know if I should use like the axe or the saw. And there's somebody having coffee next to us. And they're like,
Yeah.
so those
And they're like,
conversations happen. And then of course she finds herself in an unexpected position. And I think for me, that was sort of what I wanted to do with my characters. So if you look at like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, you have this couple who's married, they're living this ideal life. And then the flip side is that their secret lives, they didn't realize it. And so then they find themselves having to be like, okay, well, now what? Now what do we do? And for my characters, Sybil and Ben, obviously he's FBI. And so he's like, all right, this is what I've been trained to do. I know what I'm doing. Sybil, on the other hand, finds out that she has this opportunity to basically commit corporate espionage, and she's spying on her employer for the good of the world, of the law. And I wanted to like, what would it be like if I personally was asked to spy on somebody? Like, what kind of
yeah.
things would I be able to like? Because in my head, I feel like, oh, I'd be an excellent spy. But the reality is I know like if I had to sneak up on somebody and like eavesdrop, I would be like, my stomach would be a mess. I'd be so nervous. I'd probably trip over something. And like, how do you explain getting caught in the hallway listening to somebody? And so I wanted to write a story where it was realistic situations, not sort of this like perfected professionalism, like Jason Bourne, he's a professional. You have Ethan Hunt on Mission Impossible. He's a professional. Nothing ever really goes wrong for them. I mean, it does, but like he always has a way to like get out of it. And so
Mhm.
I wanted to write a character where it was like these are sort of kind of everyday people. And maybe that was just sort of like my nod to be like, hey, if we had to, we all could be spies. Like we could all do this, and it could
Yeah.
be fun and there's mishaps and whatever. But I just kind of wanted to spin that around a little bit and I don't know, make it more, I think, um less professional espionage and more like chaotic competence. Like they know they have a certain set of skills. They don't realize that those little skills that they have are going to help them in the story.
I love that. I love that chaotic confidence. So you've got this, there's so much going on in like the external plot of everything that's going on. But then you've also got they know each other and there's this
Mhm.
history between them. So how do in this because it is the romantic suspense, how do you calibrate between the two? Because you've got to keep both going, but there's all this external clicking time bomb going on. Plus you've got this internal tension of are they, aren't they, how's it going to happen? So how as an author do you find that pacing so that readers get the payoff they're expecting in the book
Mhm.
because it's a little different when you've got that kind of international thriller type of feel going.
Right. Well, and in this story, particularly, especially I think with anything that has to do with spies or spying or, um, I think that's where this twist on the suspense. On the suspense part, typically you have someone who's being targeted for some reason, and then you have a hero, like, a team that will come in and then they're there to protect. And it's like, okay, it's always we've got to escape, we've got to escape the bad guy. Like the bad guy's chasing us in this story and in spy stories, it's the other way around. You're chasing the bad guy in a way that like you have to stay several steps ahead. And then on top of that, you have Sybil and Ben who are both undercover technically or have secrets that they're keeping. And both of them in their minds and in the plot of the story, if it comes out what they're doing and the truth, it literally will one wreck the mission, both of their missions, and it could be, legally and, worldly, globally bad. and then their lives are at risk. And so because they know each other, I felt like that added an extra element that like, okay, I can't I can't reveal who she is because it'll put her in danger. And on the opposite side, she's like, I can't reveal who he is because it will put not only him in danger, but my situation in danger too. And so they excuse me, they have this dual focus of like, okay, I've got to like protect myself and my mission, and I also have to protect that person because I don't want them to become collateral damage. And so it's this balance of like, okay, how much of it can they like how much of their story can they start to try to tell each other, or how can they try to like manipulate the other person to like get them into a position of safety so that they can continue to do their job, but at the same time protect all of the integrity of their own mission.
Yeah, and there's a lot of protecting each other from each other. And so
Yes,
there's so many different layers and things going on that it's you've got a lot of threads coming together and moving and so much going on. And the cover stories, there's such a cost to that. And you definitely see that with these characters. So was there a moment in drafting the story that you almost gave up and went, I bit off way too much? What was I thinking? I should just throw it all away, forget the deadline, I'll give back the advance. This was a crazy idea.
every single day. Every single day. No. So I think the interesting thing about this particular story is that it actually took me a year and a half to write. I wasn't under contract for this story. This was literally a story that I was like, I want to write something that's just fun. And because I think a lot of, I don't know if readers know this, but authors, we know this. When we pitch a story, our publishers want a place to put it on the shelf. And that comes from booksellers where like, where does this fit? Is this romance? Is this suspense? Is this mystery? Is this, and they don't want this mixed bag of like whatever. And so when I was pitching this idea to my agent, I was like, well, it's like romantic suspense, humor, adventure, like, and she's like, okay, go write it, and then we'll maybe figure out what we can do with it. And so I really had the intention of self-publishing this. And so I started writing it in the end of 2024, and I knew the story. Knew the characters, I knew the plot points. I mean, as I'm writing, things obviously shifted and changed, but um I could not for the life of me get this story written. It was like I was stretching for every single word, like every single word. It was like one day I'd write 25 words. The next day I couldn't write anything. And it was weird because I knew the story, but I couldn't get it out of my brain onto the page.
I'm not the only one. Oh
Oh
my
my gosh.
gosh. That's what I feel like with this idea.
Yeah, it's the worst. And so I was like, all right. And I fully believe that the Lord had put this sort of block on me to write it, because if I had gotten it written in 2025, I would have published it in 2025, which is fine. That would have been, I would have had a lot of fun with it, but I ended up not getting it written, and then ended up the whole, I got, some publishers were interested in it. And so then I was like, okay. And then I got a contract for it. And I fully believe that it was meant to be with its
Mhm.
publisher, with HarperCollins, and they're doing a great job supporting me and supporting the story. And so, and they did a beautiful cover. I love the
Yeah, it's
cover.
great. Yeah.
Um, but I think for this one, writing it, I wanted to write these, I don't know. I felt like I wanted to write these characters, because it does pose the question, like when you do a job that you have to lie, where is that line? Like, how do you sort of live with that? How do you proceed in your life with lying, even if it's for the good of man
Mhm.
and the good for the law and good, and so it was a really fine line to be able to write that. And so for me personally, there were days when I was like, I can't write this. I cannot write this story. There are too many elements. There's too many threads. I don't know how I'm going to wrap this up and bring it together. And, and then you just write. And I think our imagination allows us to like weave the story in the way that we were meant to weave it. And it worked out.
Yeah, it did. So I just pulled up my review. So this is the novel I've been waiting to read. And for those who grew up longing to be a Gallagher girl or secretly wanting to star in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, this book is one you will inhale, even as you wonder who can be trusted in this tale of betrayal and secrets. From a museum to in Italy and back to Texas, this book takes readers on an international caper filled with danger, flirtation, and truth. Natalie Walters proves she is one of the top voices in romantic suspense with Spies, Lies, and Alibis.
Thank
So,
you.
what is one question you want book clubs to think about and talk about as they read this book? As they all should, of course, because it's
Yes, I
fabulous.
mean, obviously. Well, I got your question, and I was like, oh, what would I want them to think about? And I think there's one of the questions, I think when you read the story and you start to see Sybil's background and like what
Mhm.
she's going through and what you would be willing to do to take care of yourself and to take
Mm,
care of somebody you care about and to like sort of write your life. She had a pretty rough upbringing. And so and I wanted to also use something that was really tangible to like current day real life. Like not everybody has had a bad life story. Like not everybody has got a personal struggle that's deep and to the core. But sometimes it can be as simple as money problems. It can be as simple as, wanting to prove something to yourself. And like, but you, as a writer, we have to dig deeper into that and figure out like what that is. And so I think for me, something that would be interesting for book clubs to debate is what kind of lines you'd be willing to cross if you needed to in order to protect either yourself, someone you love, and if that and like and what would be that, like what's the line, like what would that line be?
I love that. Now, we've talked about a lot of these, but let's put them in as a lightning round. 3 words for the book's vibe.
Chaotic. I think it's romantic. I think there's a lot of like fun banter. Okay, that's like a lot of words. So chaotic, romantic, and fun. It's just fun. Fun to write, fun for me to live with. So
Absolutely. One trope you embraced, and maybe
um
one you flipped.
the I think the kind of, we talked about it before, the professional spy. Sybil is definitely not professional spy. She's just winging it and winging it well. And I just love her.
Yeah, she's so much fun.
Yeah.
And then readers who love X are going to love this.
Well, we talked about this. Readers who love Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who love Finley Donovan, who love, Allie Carter will definitely love this story.
Absolutely. And then do you have a favorite line or scene?
So I do. I was thinking about this really hard because I don't know about you. I would actually like to know this. When I write a book and I turn it in, I don't look at it again. Because
Yeah.
I feel like we're perfectionists, and in our head we have this movie of what our story is supposed to look like. When we read it, we see all of the we see like the behind the scenes. Like we see like, when you're watching a theater show and you see like the staff on the background, or you see the wizard behind the curtain. Like that's what we see when we read our words, because we know sort of where they came from. But I think there's several things, scenes and lines that I like in the story, but there's one that I think I love the most, and it's my character Ben he's got an alias. It's Craig Miller, and he specifically picked Craig Miller for a reason. And it's definitely to get under Sybil's skin. He didn't realize this at the time, it just happened that way. But he tells her, you were too good for Craig Miller. And she looks over her shoulder and she says, I still am. And I love that, because it's just like he's trying to pay her a compliment and she's like gonna spin it right back on him, like, yeah, I still am. And so I don't know, I just love that. To me, that's like the perfect, like, it's just their attitude and just their sassiness and their banter. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like that's a question if I were asked, most of my books I would have a hard time going one line.
Yeah.
One line?
Yeah.
That's tough. So
Yeah.
I'm impressed you could pull one out. All
Yes.
right. So Spies, Lies, and Alibis. Love it. Everybody should read it. Where can people find you and learn more about you and your books?
Well, I'm on social media, as you talked about. I'm on Instagram, Natalie Walters writer. I also have a Facebook, Natalie Walters writer. There's one's got like like an underscore, one's got a comma. So Natalie Walters writer should pull you up to find me. You'll know it's me if you see Body Bag Bob, because he makes
Yeah.
cameos on my socials. So if you find him, you're in the right place. I also have a website, nataliewalters.com, and my book is available at all of your favorite retailers. If it's before May 19th, it's pre-order, and if it's post, it's available now.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's always so much fun to talk with you. And best of luck with this book. I can't
Thank
wait
you
for
so
readers
much.
to discover it.
Thank you. I appreciate it.